The ancient warning. The Galactic Council met in the heart of a dying star. Huge golden pillars rose into the endless black sky, and shimmering lights floated like ghosts. Every powerful empire sent their best leaders to this secret place. There was fear in the air, a heavy silence that even the bravest dared not break. An old alien, his skin like cracked stone, stood before them. His voice was dry like sand. "We must speak of the humans," he said. A low murmur spread across the room. Some aliens exchanged amused glances. Others leaned forward curious. Only the oldest ones looked truly afraid. The old alien touched a crystal sphere beside him. It glowed softly, and a hologram appeared. It showed a human, small, fragile compared to most alien species, standing alone before a massive beast. The creature had teeth longer than a warship, muscles like steel, and eyes burning with hunger. But the human did not run. With no armor, no weapons, the human moved fast. Faster than the beast could think. In 3 heartbeats, the monster fell, dead. The hologram faded. Silence returned. "This," the old alien said, "is the true nature of humans. Not size, not strength, not numbers. It is their spirit, their will." A young leader from the Zarkan Empire laughed. His sharp teeth flashed. "Stories for children," he shouted. "They are primitives. Their world is still covered in oceans and dirt. We have fleets that can burn stars. What can apes do against us?" Others joined his laughter. Some banged their claws against the floor. Some whistled through sharp tongues. But the old alien did not smile. He raised a trembling hand, and the sphere glowed again. This time, it showed a different scene. Massive fleets, planets burning, empires falling. All wiped out by a force the camera could not even capture. Only shadows, moving too fast to be seen, destroying everything they touched. The room grew colder. "Long ago," the old alien whispered, "there was another council, greater than ours. They found Earth. They tried to conquer the humans. They failed, not because of human technology, not because of human weapons, but because humans refused to lose." The leaders shifted uncomfortably. "The humans," the old alien continued, "are not invincible, but they are impossible to break. You may destroy their cities, you may kill their families, you may shatter their lands, but they will keep fighting. Even if only one remains, he will crawl through fire and blood to stand against you." His voice dropped even lower. "And when they rise, they do not stop." For a long time, no one spoke. Then, a proud warrior queen from the Turvok dynasty stood. Her body was covered in silver armor. Her voice was sharp as a blade. "We are not cowards," she said. "If the humans are strong, we will crush them before they rise. They are alone. We are many." Murmurs of agreement spread through the hall. The old alien closed his eyes. Sadness lined his face. "Many thought the same," he said softly. "Now they are dust." One by one, the council members voted. The decision was clear. Ignore the warning. Expand near Earth. Prepare for colonization. The old alien stood alone as the council ended. He looked out into the swirling star fields. "You fools," he whispered to the stars. "You do not know what you have awakened." Far away, on a small blue planet, a human boy looked up at the night sky. He smiled, unaware of the storm coming, but somewhere deep inside him a fire burned, a fire that no empire could ever put out. First contact, the arrogance, the vast silence of space stretched endlessly around the Cylon Empire's fleet. Hundreds of silver ships floated like hungry sharks, their weapons ready, their engines humming with restless power. Commander Varix of the Cylon Empire stood tall on the bridge of the flagship. His blue scales glistened under the cold lights. He stared at the hologram of Earth, a small blue world spinning quietly in the darkness. "This," Varix sneered, "is what the Council fears? A ball of water and mud?" His officers laughed. A low, cruel sound. Varix raised his hand. Let them see us, let them know who rules this galaxy now. The order was given. The fleet powered forward, engines lighting up the darkness like a second sun. They entered the edge of Earth's solar system, arrogant and loud, announcing their arrival with no attempt to hide. But something was wrong. The moment they crossed into human space, their sensors flickered. A strange static buzzed through their comms. Screens flashed warnings, but no enemy ships appeared. Varix frowned. "Find them," he barked. "Find the humans. I want to see their pathetic defense fleet crumble." But there was nothing. Only the cold silence of empty space. The fleet pressed on, drawing closer to Earth. They fired small warning shots, harmless beams into the void. A message. "We are here. Bow or be crushed." No reply came. No defense fleet rose to meet them. Varix smirked. "They are cowards," he said. "They hide because they know death is coming." His officers nodded, some already dreaming of the riches Earth would offer once conquered. They moved closer, closer still. Then, the stars themselves blinked. Ships, hundreds of them, seemed to appear from the darkness, from the shadows of moons, from inside asteroid belts. Human ships, silent and black as death itself, now surrounded the Cylon fleet. No alarms had gone off. No sensors had warned them. It was as if the humans had been there all along, waiting. Panic rippled through the silent ships. "How?" an officer gasped. "How did they get so close?" Varix's fists tightened. "It is a trick," he shouted. "Fire on them! Show them our strength!" But as the Cylon ships charged weapons, the human ships did not move. They did not fire. They simply sat there quiet and still, like predators watching foolish prey. A deep voice crackled over the silent comms. A voice so calm, so cold, it froze the blood in their veins. "You were warned." And then, nothing. The human ships faded back into the darkness, vanishing as suddenly as they had appeared. Varix stared at the empty space in horror. He realized something terrible. This was not a mistake. This was not fear. The humans were not hiding. They were playing with the Cylon fleet like a lion plays with a wounded bird, and the real strike had not even begun. Alarms screamed suddenly across every Cylon ship. Engines failed, weapons powered down, shields collapsed. One by one, without a single shot fired, the Cylon ships began to die. Systems shutting off, hulls cracking under invisible pressure. Crew members screamed as oxygen escaped, as lights went out, as cold space swallowed them whole. Varix tried to give orders, but no one could hear him anymore. His flagship spun helplessly, caught in an unseen net. On the main screen, a final message appeared, written in the humans' language, simple and brutal. "Go home." But there would be no going home. Within minutes, the entire Cylon fleet was gone. Not a single ship returned to tell the tale. Not a single body floated among the ruins. Just silence. Cold, endless silence. Back at the Galactic Council, whispers spread like wildfire. The proud Cylon Empire, wiped out without a war, without a battle. By humans. The council chambers, once filled with arrogant voices, now echoed with fear. The old alien, who had warned them, sat quietly in the shadows, watching. He knew this was only the beginning. Far away on Earth, a young human technician yawned as he finished his night shift at a monitoring station. He had no idea he had just witnessed the death of an empire with a few simple keystrokes. He smiled, stretched, and went home to bed. The galaxy trembled, and the humans slept peacefully, dreaming of nothing at all. Second wave. Testing the humans' fear spread like poison through the galaxy. The Cylon Empire was gone, not defeated, not conquered, simply erased. Some called it magic. Others whispered that humans had ancient weapons lost to time. But most of all, they feared what they did not understand. Still, pride is a heavy chain around the necks of empires. The Vorak Dominion, rulers of 1,000 burning worlds, refused to believe the stories. They laughed in their stone palaces and drank bitter wine, speaking of human weakness. The Cylon were fools, growled General Korvax of the Vorak Dominion. They lost because they were weak. We are not weak. A new fleet was built. Faster, stronger, deadlier. The best ships, the best warriors. This time, they said, the humans would see true power. They called it a test, a simple show of force. Just enough to scare the humans into surrender. Nothing more. But the humans were not like other species. They were watching. They were waiting. The Vorak fleet roared through human space, moving faster than the last invasion. Sleek black ships covered in cruel spikes and heavy armor tore through asteroid belts and zipped past dead moons. General Korvac stood tall on his command deck, his deep red armor shining under harsh lights. "No games," he barked. "Find them. Destroy one of their outposts. Send them a message." His officers obeyed without question. They found a small human station orbiting a lonely planet weakly defended, a tiny spark against the vast darkness. Korvac smiled. Fire. Bright beams shot through the void, slamming into the human station. Explosions rocked the tiny structure. Pieces spun off into space, burning and broken. No human ships came to defend it. No cries for help filled the comms. Only silence. Korvac leaned back in his throne. "So much for the Council's stories," he said. "This is no enemy. This is prey." But deep in the broken station, a single signal pulsed, soft, steady, almost patient. Korvac never saw the signal. He never saw the human trap closing around him. A shadow moved against the stars, then another, then hundreds. Human ships, dark as the grave, burst from behind planets, from inside asteroids, from the dark edges of space itself. They did not come charging in wild. No, they crept, slow and silent, like hunters in the night. Korvac's sensors blinked once, then twice. Then everything went dark. "Bring systems back online," Korvac roared. No one answered. All across the fleet, lights flickered and died. Ships spun helplessly. Engines failed. Weapons locked. The humans had not fired a single shot. They had simply taken control. A cold voice filled Korvac's command bridge, echoing from hidden speakers. "You were warned." General Korvac grabbed his sidearm and pointed it at the communications officer. "Find them," he shouted. "Find and destroy them." The officer's hands trembled as he tried to obey, but nothing responded. The ship's systems were not theirs anymore. The humans had already won. Outside, the human ships floated closer, slow and patient, like sharks circling a bleeding animal. But they did not attack. Not yet. Korvac stared out into the void, his chest heavy with rage and fear. "Cowards," he muttered. "Why don't they fight?" But in his heart, he already knew. Humans were not here to fight a battle. They were here to teach a lesson. One by one, the Vorak ships were stripped of their power, weapons melted into slag. Engines collapsed into silence. Life support systems froze. Korvac watched as his best ships, his strongest warriors, drifted like dead leaves in a winter wind. Then, without warning, the human ships vanished, gone into the blackness of space as if they had never been. Korvac's fleet floated helplessly, powerless, humiliated. They could not move. They could not fight. They could only wait, trapped in the silent cold, until the humans decided their fate. Hours passed, then days. Some ships ran out of oxygen. Others froze. No rescue fleets came. No one dared to enter human space again. The Vorak Dominion, proud and mighty, lost its greatest fleet without a single human casualty. When a broken, barely functional escape pod finally drifted back to Council, space weeks later, carrying Korvac himself, he was no longer the proud general they had sent. His armor was shattered, his mind was broken, and his voice, once filled with fire, now whispered only two words. "They're coming." And somewhere on Earth in a dark underground station, a young human girl tapped away at her console, humming a song. She didn't wear armor. She didn't carry weapons. But she had pressed a few buttons and ended a galactic fleet without even standing up. The humans' counterattack. The galaxy was not ready for what came next. After the destruction of two great fleets, Fear wrapped itself around every empire like a cold, heavy chain. Council members spoke in hushed voices. Spies were sent. Probes were launched. But nothing showed. Earth remained quiet. Peaceful. Almost inviting. And that terrified everyone even more. Many believed humans would now stay hidden, defending their small blue world. After all, why would a weak race dare to step into the galaxy's burning heart? But humans are not like other races. They do not wait for the storm. They become it. On the dark side of a forgotten moon, a secret meeting was held. Several empires gathered there, hoping to strike a deal, to build a weapon strong enough to crush Earth once and for all. The meeting hall was deep underground, protected by layers of steel and force fields. Only the most trusted guards stood at the entrances, their eyes sharp, their weapons loaded, and still, none of them saw the human arrive. He was not a warrior. He wore no armor. He carried no gun. Just a simple dark uniform and a soft smile on his face. His name was Agent Hale. He walked through the corridors like a ghost, silent and unseen. Cameras did not capture him. Alarms did not trigger. Guards did not notice as he passed them. He moved like a shadow between heartbeats. Inside the council chamber, the leaders argued loudly about strategies, weapons, and fear. They had no idea they were already too late. Agent Hale stepped through the heavy blast doors without a sound. He stood there for a long moment just watching them. Then he coughed. Politely. Every head turned, every hand reached for a weapon. But before a single trigger could be pulled, the lights flickered, and in that tiny flicker of darkness, everything changed. When the lights came back, Agent Hale was gone, and so was the power. Weapons melted in their owners' hands. Shields collapsed. Emergency systems failed. Leaders fell to the ground, gasping for air, trapped inside their own fortress. All around them, a single message blinked on every screen. We told you. Far above the moon, in orbit, dozens of human ships uncloaked. Sleek. Dark ships almost invisible against the stars. They had been there the whole time, waiting, watching, ready. One by one, without firing a shot, they disabled the hidden fortresses, the secret fleets, the deadly weapons built to destroy Earth. The galaxy's finest defenses were stripped apart like toys by hands that were faster, smarter, and far more ruthless than anyone had dared to believe. Somewhere deep in space, a council warlord received a coded distress call from the moon base. He smiled coldly. Good, he said. They have captured the human. He ordered his fleet to jump directly to the coordinates, to retrieve their prisoner and launch a final attack. But when his fleet arrived, they found only silence. No guards, no leaders, no fortress. Just dust floating quietly in the endless dark. The human had not been captured. The human had captured them. Back on Earth, news of the counterattack spread quickly among the hidden human forces. They did not celebrate loudly. They did not boast. There were no great speeches, no proud parades, only quiet nods, small smiles, a few short words passed between them. Phase 2 begins. For humans, this was not revenge. It was survival. They did not hate the galaxy. They did not wish for war. But they had learned long ago that peace is not something you are given. It is something you earn. And when it is threatened, you defend it, with everything you have, even if it means becoming the monster others fear. In a hidden room deep beneath the oceans of Earth, human leaders gathered. Holograms of alien fleets blinked in the air. Targets were marked, plans were made, and one simple command was given: no invasions, no bloodshed, only fear. The humans would not conquer planets. They would not destroy civilizations. They would simply show the galaxy the one thing it had forgotten: the power of an unbroken will, the terror of an enemy who does not bluff, an enemy who smiles when cornered, an enemy who does not know how to lose. Far across the stars, in a small village on a distant alien world, a farmer looked up into the night sky. He saw something strange, a single human ship hovering silently above the fields. No weapons fired, no threats made, only a simple banner dropped from the ship. fluttering in the cold wind. It read, "We are watching." The ship vanished into the clouds a second later, but the message remained, and so did the fear. Because now, every planet, every fleet, every council member knew. The humans had moved. The humans had struck back, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Secret history of humanity. The Galactic Council trembled behind closed doors. Their most powerful fleets had fallen without a fight. Their secret weapons had vanished like smoke. Their greatest warriors spoke only in broken whispers now. And still, the humans said nothing. No demands. No threats. Only silence. And silence was worse than any war. In a hidden council bunker, deep beneath the surface of a cold, barren planet, a desperate plan was made. "We must know their secret," said Ambassador Varkle, his voice shaking. "We must learn how they became what they are." An ancient alien scholar, old enough that his skin had turned to stone, stepped forward. "There is one way," he rasped. "A captured human relic, deep in the ruins of the old empires, lost for thousands of years." The council listened in silence. The relic was dangerous, forbidden, sealed away for a reason. But desperation has a way of drowning wisdom. They sent a small team, the best spies and historians from 5 different species, into the dead zones, where no ship dared fly. They did not return for weeks. But when they came back, they carried something. A small box. Simple, ordinary, yet somehow heavier than a mountain. They opened the box in secret in a room shielded from all scanners. Inside there was no weapon, no technology, just a data crystal and an old, broken toy, a small stuffed animal, stitched by hand. Confused, the scholars activated the data crystal, and the truth poured out. Long ago, before the council, before the great empires, there was another power, a mighty force that ruled the galaxy with iron claws. They discovered Earth. Back then, humans were primitive. They lived in tribes, hunted animals, made fire with sticks. The ancient empire thought humans would be easy to enslave. And at first, they were. Humans were dragged from their villages, put in chains, forced to build monuments on alien worlds. They were beaten, starved, broken. But something strange happened. The humans did not stay broken. They learned. They adapted. They changed. Faster than any race had ever seen. Within a few generations, human slaves began to rise. They turned tools into weapons. They turned songs into codes. They turned stories into blueprints. And then, without warning, they struck. Not with fleets, not with armies, but with fire, with knives made from scrap, with pure, blinding fury. The great empire never even understood what was happening. By the time they did, it was already too late. The humans did not just escape. They destroyed their masters so completely that even memory of them was erased. No ruins, no survivors, no records, only whispers, only fear. The humans vanished back to their small blue world, carrying with them one promise carved into their very souls: never again. They buried the past. They forgot the chains. But somewhere deep inside, the fire never went out. It waited, silent, patient, until someone was foolish enough to try again. The scholars stared at the broken toy in the box. Stitched into the toy's chest, barely visible, were the words, "For my son, may you never kneel." A chill passed through the room. The council realized too late that humans were not strong because of technology. They were strong because they had already survived the worst nightmare imaginable. They had already faced the darkest evil the galaxy could offer, and they had won. They had remembered what the rest of the galaxy had forgotten. True strength is not born from fear. It is born from pain, from loss, from hope. And nothing, not ships, not armies, not weapons, could break a spirit that had already walked through hell. Ambassador Varkle sat alone after the meeting, staring at the old toy on the table. He thought of his own children. He thought of the endless wars, the endless greed, and he wondered if maybe, just maybe, The humans were not the monsters after all. Maybe the monsters were the ones sitting in the council halls speaking of conquest and control. Maybe the galaxy needed humans, not as enemies, but as a reminder. A reminder that freedom has a cost. And some are willing to pay it with blood, with fire, with everything. Varkle closed the box, locked it away. But he knew it would not matter. The secret was out. The galaxy had poked a sleeping giant, and the giant was now awake. Somewhere on Earth, a young boy sat under a tree carving a piece of wood with careful hands. He was smiling. He had no idea that powerful empires feared his kind. He had no idea that the council had just learned the greatest secret of all. But it didn't matter, because inside him, like inside every human, burned an ancient fire. And soon, the stars would feel its heat once more. Betrayal in the council. The council chambers, once the heart of galactic power, now felt more like a tomb. No laughter echoed through the grand marble halls. No voices argued over riches or wars. Only fear lived here now. Fear of the humans. But fear breeds desperate ideas. And desperate ideas breed betrayal. In a dark corner of the galaxy, hidden deep within a hollowed-out moon, a secret meeting was held. Only the most ruthless members of the council were invited. They wore long black cloaks to hide their faces, but the cold glint of ambition still shone in their eyes. "We cannot let humans rule the galaxy," hissed Lord Zevrak, his voice thin and sharp like a blade. "They must be destroyed," growled Admiral Korlik, his hand slamming the table, "before they grow stronger." "But how?" whispered Lady Varys, her silver fingers trembling. "Their ships cannot be tracked. Their soldiers cannot be touched." For a moment, silence answered. Then a new voice spoke. Soft, oily, dangerous. "I have a way," said Counselor Thrain, stepping forward. The others turned to him, desperate. Thrain smiled. "There is a weapon," he said. "Lost long ago, built by the first galactic empire before even the humans were known." "What weapon?" Korlik demanded. "The core breaker," Thrain whispered. Even the air seemed to freeze at those words. The core breaker, a device designed to collapse stars, to erase planets, to destroy entire systems in seconds. It had been banned, hidden, buried by ancient treaties no one dared to break. Until now. "We find it," Thrain said. "We use it on Earth, and the human threat ends forever." Some council members hesitated, destroying a world, millions, maybe billions of lives. But fear is stronger than guilt. One by one, they nodded. The plan was set. The greatest betrayal in galactic history had begun. For months, secret fleets searched forgotten star maps, dove into cursed systems, battled ancient machines left behind by dead civilizations. They lost many ships, many lives. But finally they found it floating in the ruins of a shattered world. The core breaker waited, still humming softly after thousands of years, broken, half dead, but still deadly. They pulled it free from the wreckage and hid it within the hollow moon. Technicians worked in secret, repairing the ancient device with trembling hands. Every day, the fear of human discovery grew stronger. Every night, the council traitors dreamed of Earth burning. But humans are not blind. They had been watching. They had seen the secret fleets. They had followed the whispers, and they had made their own plan. On the day the core breaker was ready, the traitors gathered in the moon's hidden command center. Thrain stood before the activation console, his hand hovering over the final button. "Today," he said, "we end the human threat. Today, we save the galaxy." The others cheered. Fear turned to hope. Hope turned to excitement. But just as Thrain's finger touched the button, the lights flickered, and a voice, soft and calm, filled the room. "You were warned." Every head snapped up, the shadows moved, and, out of the darkness, humans appeared. Not soldiers in armor, not fleets of ships. Just a handful of humans dressed in simple black, standing in the very heart of the traitors' secret base. The council traitors reached for weapons. Systems locked down. Guns refused to fire. Alarms blared, doors slammed shut. The humans moved silently, disabling guards, cutting off escape routes, dismantling controls, all without a single shot. Thrain tried to run. A human appeared before him, his eyes calm, almost sad. Thrain fell to his knees, trembling. "Please," he whispered. "We did it for the galaxy." The human leaned closer and whispered back, "And you nearly doomed it." Then he turned away. No rage, no cruelty, only quiet disappointment. The core breaker was taken apart, piece by piece. The traitors were exposed. Their names broadcasted across the stars for all to see. They were stripped of their titles, their power, their honor. Some chose exile, some chose death. None were forgiven. And as for humanity, they made no speeches, demanded no rewards. They simply returned to Earth, silent as ever. But now the galaxy understood something even deeper. Humans were not just survivors, they were guardians, and betrayal would not be tolerated. Ever again. Far away on a quiet beach, a human girl sat building sandcastles. Her father watched her, smiling, unaware that on distant worlds, empires trembled at the thought of her future. She laughed as the waves washed away her castles, and somewhere across the stars the galaxy sighed in relief that humans still chose to build, not to destroy, at least for now. Earth's final message: the galaxy was broken. The proud council was shattered. The mighty empires stood in silence. No one dared whisper of war now. No one dared dream of conquest, because they had seen it. They had seen the humans, and understood. Earth had not demanded payment. Earth had not sought revenge. Earth had simply waited. And then, when the time was right, Earth spoke. It began with a signal, small, quiet, but carried across every communication line in the galaxy. At first, the aliens thought it was a glitch, a simple human broadcast slipping through the cracks. But when they listened, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The screen showed no grand leader, no shining army, only a simple human, an old man, wearing worn clothes, standing in a green field under a wide blue sky. He smiled, and then he spoke. His voice was soft, calm, but every word struck harder than any weapon. "We are the children of Earth," he said. "We were born in fire and shaped by storms. We have been hunted. We have been enslaved. We have been broken and beaten. But we learned. We learned to stand. We learned to fight. And we learned that true strength is not taking, it is protecting." The old man looked up at the sky, his face full of something stronger than anger: hope. "We do not seek to rule. We do not seek to destroy. We only seek peace. But if you come for us, if you come for our children, our homes, our dreams, we will not break. We will not bow. We will not stop." His voice grew even softer, almost a whisper. "We will stand. Even if we stand alone. Even if the stars fall around us. Even if it costs us everything. We will stand." The screen faded to black, and the signal ended. For a long time, the galaxy said nothing. Whole worlds paused. Whole fleets stopped moving. The most powerful beings in the universe sat in silence, feeling small because they knew the truth now. Humans were not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the smartest, but they were the most dangerous. Because they would never stop fighting for what mattered. They would never give up. They would never forget, and they would never forgive betrayal. One by one, the great empires reached out. They sent treaties. They sent gifts. Some even sent apologies, carved into the very stones of their worlds. Earth accepted some, rejected others, but never demanded anything. They simply watched. Silent. Ready. Waiting. On a distant moon, a group of alien children played near a river. An old alien told them stories of the humans, not as monsters, not as conquerors, but as protectors. "Remember?" he said, pointing at the stars. It is not the biggest sword that wins, it is the strongest heart. The children nodded. They would remember. They would tell their children, and their children after them, because now the galaxy understood. Earth was not a prize to be taken. Earth was not a weakness to be exploited. Earth was a promise that no matter how dark the night grew, there would always be one light left burning, one voice still speaking, one hand still raised, in defiance. Back on Earth, life went on. Children laughed under golden suns, farmers tilled fields under soft rains, scientists built dreams among the stars, artists sang songs of hope. And somewhere, deep underground, hidden beyond sight, the protectors remained. Silent, vigilant, ready. Not because they loved war, but because they loved peace enough to fight for it. And the galaxy, wide and ancient, turned slowly in the dark, watching, listening, and, for the first time in a long, long age, it hoped, it feared, and above all, it respected. Because it knew now, you could ignore Earth, you could mock Earth, you could even try to destroy Earth, but you could never break it. Never, ever, again.